The object of Taxi Chronicles is to allow real riders with real stories share their experience and enhance your life. So sit back and enjoy the journey. Morning. Yes, we're back with another episode and another rider. Today we have Bob. He's all the way from over the pond in New York, and he's a New York lawyer, and he's going to tell us about what it's like being a New York lawyer, a typical day, why he got started, and what motivates him. So nice to have you here today, Bob.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm quite honored.
So how long, why lawyer? Why did you want to be a lawyer?
Well, that's a good question. I actually never really wanted to be a lawyer until I went to law school, or until before I went to law school. So I grew up in the United States. Actually, my parents are Indian, so I'm an immigrant to the U.S. They're immigrants to the U.S. I grew up in Texas, in Dallas, and I was always really good at maths. So I think my real intellectual passion is maths. Then when I was younger, when I got to high school and college, I actually enjoyed writing, I enjoyed reading, I enjoyed literature, Shakespeare. And it turned out that I had this sort of combination of mathematics and writing. And then it just appeared that I didn't want to be too technical. I didn't want to just be writing all the time. So I thought maybe law would be a good combination, because it's logical and it involves words, but also there's a chance to do some good for the world. So in my in my naivete, I decided to go to law school and see how that turned out. Next thing I know, I went to law school and got recruited for corporate jobs and so forth. And I actually ended up in Hong Kong. Ended up engaged to a lady who's moving to Hong Kong. And so the only jobs there were basically for corporate law. So that's how I stumbled into it many years ago.
So your study in your degree or bachelor's, I'm not sure what you call it in the States.
Yeah, bachelor's.
Was that in law?
No, so the way it works in the States is law is graduate school. So you get a Juris Doctor after you go to your undergraduate university. So at university, I actually studied basically philosophy and mathematics. So I got 2 degrees in philosophy and mathematics. And then from there, I can go to business school or law school or medical school. So law, it's a bit different from the UK, where you study law as an undergraduate.
Okay. If you could do it all again, would you do it exactly the same? Would you change? And if so, why?
Well, that's a deep philosophical question. I think if I really could do it all again, I think I would do something that is more pure, more academic, more intellectual. I think that fits my own personality and my own interests. I hope someday actually to go back to that. I just enjoy solving theorems, doing the problems, thinking about the very deep, the really deep laws of the universe, right? That's what I get deep joy from. And not necessarily running billion-dollar deals and and arguing with people over documents and winning trades and things like that. I can understand people. There are a lot of people who are very good at that and enjoy that, but I think it's not me. Now, having said that, you never know what life is going to be like, right? And maybe if I'd gone that route, I would wish I was where I was today, right? I would regret that I didn't go to the city and wear a suit and meet London taxi drivers, right? So it's really hard to tell. I don't. It's part of me thinks maybe I could have done it differently, but part of me thinks maybe the path one takes in life is the right one, and that's the way it's meant to be.
When are you going to make that change then?
I do have a plan. So I have children who are in schools and who are wonderful and lovely and marvelous, but also expensive. And so I think once they grow up, which is probably going to be once they become independent, grow up about 6 or 7 years, then I think I'm going to leave this life, leave the cities, and leave the coat and tie life, and just do something a bit quieter.
Okay, and that's when you go into your writing. Oh, but what would be interesting? When you do that change, and you're doing writing and various things along that lines, you have a wealth of experience.
That's right.
To be able to say, and then also you can kind of latch on from your children and loved ones' experience, which their journey you see. Do you see what I mean? So if you're talking about things and writing about things, that will build along those lines.
Absolutely. I think that's right. And I have had some tough times and some good times, but I think my my experiences can be useful in some ways. I mean, even interestingly enough, if I were to become, let's say, an academic or a mathematician, most people who do that, they just go into that from when they're young, straight from school. And I think I've learned certain things, certain aspects of wisdom, certain disciplines, a kind of way of looking at the world in practical terms, and really seeing how the world works from the inside. And I think that is, I'm not sure how useful it would be, but it's definitely a different perspective than probably most have in that field.
What have you learnt from the corporate world as a lawyer that you wish you knew when you had started?
Oh, good question. It's harder to get out than one might think. I think when I went in, I thought, okay, I'm just going to try this out, make a bit of money, go back to what I really love doing. And it sucks you in. It's very, it can be addictive. It kind of lures you in slowly, and then you can sort of get stuck in it. So no matter how strong you are, it can be a little bit hard to get out of.
So, okay, that's good. So, what you say, it sounds like a mafia or a gang that you're trying to get out.
That sounds a bit, yeah, it sounds a bit harsh. I wouldn't say it's that bad.
So, what is it exactly that pulls you that makes it really difficult to get out?
Yeah, I think what happens is it's a very kind of slow process where you get in a certain job, you get a certain salary, you get a certain status, you get a house, whatever, or a flat, and you get a family, and you reach a certain point where you have certain obligations. You have a certain lifestyle, you have certain expectations on you from society, from family, and so forth, and then in that sense you're it becomes difficult to just kind of go out and parachute into something completely new. And the other thing is that just as in any career, you develop skills, you develop experience. So in that sense, and a lot of times I really like my job because I've done it for a while. I've done certain things. I like the firm that I work for now, but at this, and so it makes it more difficult to just do something completely different because you've been doing a certain thing for several years or many years, and that's what people will want to hire you for, right? If you were to go out and do something completely different, you really have to start from scratch. You have to take a lot of risk. It's not nearly as comfortable. Probably have to take a pay cut and so forth. So I'm not saying it's like the mafia, they kill you if you leave. It's much more subtle than that. You just get used to it, and it becomes you have to make sacrifices and take risks if you are going to take a different route, especially the longer that you've been in the industry.
But Bob, what I would say is this: I've had varied careers. I used to be a site manager in commercial construction. I've been in the military. I've been a mercenary. I've had my own businesses, and now I'm a taxi driver.
A mercenary?
Yeah, I used to stop the pirates hijacking the vessels.
All right.
So I get paid for that privately. So
fair enough.
My point is, I've changed a lot, and I take the risks.
Yeah.
I'm a risk taker. But what I found, the skills that I've developed from managing construction sites and dealing with very angry, hostile men are the same skills, because they're all people skills.
They're all people skills.
So what my thing would be is that just do it. Don't always plan. Just go for it, man.
All right, man.
So tell me, what was life like in Texas, growing up in Texas?
It's all right. People, I think people have a bad rap for Texas. I appreciate the question because I'm a big fan of Texas. And I'm not kind of a farmer. I'm not.
You don't sound like a Texas, like here, boy.
Well, I can get the accent if I go there for a while. I start kind of talking like this a little bit and twanging and saying y'all. So I will get a little bit there. But when I grew up, it was in Dallas. It's a kind of big, normal city. Nothing special. I mean, it's just the people are really nice and kind. It's kind of got beautiful big skies, great Mexican food. a lot of immigrants in Texas, which I think people don't really realize. So, a lot of people from of course Mexico, a lot of people from Asia, a lot of African Americans. So it's quite diverse and people get along.
Immigrant, aren't they? Unless they're an Indian.
Well, that's
And
right.
when I say Indian, I mean American Indian.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, some people don't. I would guess like more recent immigrants or non-whites.
Okay.
You're absolutely right. So growing up for me was actually quite. It was, I would say, I don't want to say it was boring, but it was not that dramatic or anything. I had a good government school. I had really good teachers. I played in the park. I played some tennis. Good libraries. I mean, just this sort of stuff. It's just the normal American suburban lifestyle. You had a front yard and a backyard. You play some American football or some basketball on the weekends. That sort of thing.
Did you experience racism out there?
Well, you know what? Funny enough, I don't think I really experienced that much racism when I was growing up. I think it's actually gotten a bit worse now. I mean, I grew up in the 80s mainly, and it wasn't that bad. I mean, there were a couple of things during the during all the Iran-Iraq stuff and some of the Palestinian conflicts. There was some anti-Muslim sentiment, definitely. So people would kind of make fun or say things about guys with turbans or these sorts of just stupid racist kind of jokes. And then the other thing was that in Texas there are a lot of evangelical Christians, and they can be very aggressive.
God's watching you.
Yeah, they can be super aggressive. So I wouldn't call it racism, but a lot of people were trying to save me and convert me.
What are you? You're Hindu?
I grew up Muslim. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of our city?
London, I love it.
How long have you been here for?
Well, I've been here for just a week now. I come here a lot on business. I absolutely love London. I just adore it, and I think partly because I don't have to live here, so I don't deal with the tube strikes or any of the problems or anything like that. I just meet good people like yourself. I'm generally in the city, so and I'm usually here and I'm often here in the summer, which is great as well. But no, I think London is just one of the world's most kind of diverse, welcoming. It's just a big pot of gumbo, basically. All sorts of people, just all together, just sort of mixing, and I think it just gives the city just an incredible sense of life. I really enjoy riding around on the bikes. Haven't gotten killed yet there. I love the parks. I love the museums. I love just the spirit of the city, and the people just all kind of trying to get along, trying to make do. Trying to muddle through when there are problems. It's a very practical kind of city, very just sort of kind of a get on with it attitude, which I quite like.
Yeah, that stiff upper lip attitude that the British have always had.
Yeah, I guess that can go a little too far, right? Because they sometimes they don't quite express what they should. But I'm speaking more of just kind of all the kinds of different people in London, right? Not necessarily the most English. I mean, that's there, of course. I like that. That's it's charming. But I just mean all the different kinds of people you see. Working at hotels, driving taxi drivers. Cooking food. Working in the city. Just coming from everywhere. Just hoping for a bit of opportunity and meet new people and experience new things.
Okay, that's good. So you've been you come and go from London. What would you say to your 16-year-old self?
To my 16-year-old self,
Yeah.
I would say don't take life too seriously, and surround yourself with good people, with kind people. People who can teach you things and are helping the world.
And if you could leave the world with a gift based on your life experience, what would that gift be?
So I was in Vienna over the weekend, and I saw a quote from Albert Schweitzer on one of these rose bushes that somebody had left in memoriam, right? And the quote said something, I'm not quoting it right, but it says something like, the only thing that's worth living for in life are the traces of love that you leave behind. So I don't think it has to be anything concrete or any major achievement, but just invisible traces of love.
Okay. That's very interesting. And my last question to you is, would you encourage your children to go into the corporate world?
No, I wouldn't. It depends on the child, though, right? I don't want to impose anything on any of my children, but one of them I'd love for. I think he'd be a great a coach or a sportsman. One of them I think would be a fantastic artist, and one of them I think would be a really good carer or even a veterinarian. Loves animals.
Okay.
So
well, you've got 4 children, yeah?
3 children. 3 children. Yeah. So I don't want to say they should do this or that, but I want them to follow what really makes them happy and their passion.
Okay. That's good. Well, we've come to the end of the journey.
All right.
Thanks a lot for that.
Thank you very much. It's been really enjoyable speaking with you.
And we wish you well.
I wish you well as well. Thanks.
We hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day as well as vlogging on our social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.